The soft fabric clung to her skin, outlining every curve in delicate ribbons and bows. The black silk straps rested against her collarbone, tied neatly around her slender neck like a fragile ornament. She bit her lips slightly, feeling the weight of what she was wearing, or rather what he had made her wear. Her heartbeat quickened, echoing loudly in her ears. This wasn't just clothing, it was his command, his control. She lowered her gaze, her voice trembling as she spoke. "Sir, did you just say you'll cut 10 nights, right?" Her fingers brushed the hem of the nightgown, the ribbon brushing lightly against her thighs. The words left her lips almost like a plea. 10 nights of freedom. It was the only thing she could cling to, the only way to survive what was happening. Her hope was fragile, like the thin thread holding the garment together. Before she could even process the situation, a strong hand pushed her back. Push! The world tilted, her eyes widened in shock as her body stumbled backward. Her long pink hair fanned out like waves behind her, and the breath caught in her throat. She could barely form a sound as his shadow loomed closer. The air around her turned heavier, almost suffocating. The next second she found herself beneath him. His body hovered above hers, his weight pressing down, locking her in place. His robe hung loose, revealing the sharp line of his collarbone, his dark gaze burning into her skin. A cold smirk spread across his lips, as if he was enjoying every bit of her helplessness. She could feel the warmth of his breath on her skin, the dangerous proximity between them making her entire body tense. Her heartbeat pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. His reply was low, smooth, and cruel. "You heard wrong." The words sliced through the air like a blade. There was no hesitation in his tone, no mercy. Her last strand of hope snapped like a brittle thread. The realization struck her all at once. There was no escape tonight. He tilted his head slightly, his lips curling into a wicked smile. "My woman is doubting me. I should probably show something to make you give up that thought." The way he said "my woman" made her skin crawl, a possessiveness that felt like chains wrapping around her soul. The night grew quiet, save for the sound of their uneven breaths. The dim light painted shadows across the room, the bed becoming a cage she couldn't escape. The soft fabric of the sheets felt cold beneath her skin. Her head rested against the pillow, but her body was frozen, caught between fear and resignation. He sat beside her, the black robe still loosely tied, exposing his chest. His hand held something, a thin, sharp stick glinting faintly under the light. She curled her body away from him, instinctively, her fingers gripping the blanket like a shield. Her breathing grew shallow, panic flickering behind her closed eyes. He leaned closer, his presence suffocating. Her chest rose and fell rapidly, her hands gripping the sheets beneath her. She forced out a shaky whisper. "You said, tonight, you have no more energy left. You—" Her voice quivered, barely audible. It wasn't just a question. It was a desperate attempt to find a way out, to remind him of his own words. Her heart pounded so hard, she thought it might break through her ribs. Her eyelashes trembled as she shut her eyes tightly, shutting out the light, the room, and him. Her breaths were shaky, uneven. In the darkness behind her eyelids, she silently whispered to herself to endure. Just 10 nights, just 10 nights. But the fear coiled tighter in her chest. The scent of him was too close, the night too long. Lying there in the soft morning light, she turned her head slightly toward him. His face, usually so cold and distant, was softened by the quiet. "I've heard," she thought to herself, her eyes tracing the sharp line of his jaw, "smoking isn't truly addictive, but people with lonely hearts often cling to it." She felt a faint tightening in her chest. Could someone like him also be lonely? For a brief moment, she saw not the man who intimidated her, but someone who might carry a weight he never showed. The silence between them broke when he shifted, his smirk curving into place like a practice mask. She flinched, clutching the sheet closer to her bare skin. Ah, the soft sound escaped her lips involuntarily as she shrank back. His teasing eyes lingered on her like a flame that refused to look away. He sat up casually, every movement confident and unhurried, as if he were the one in control of everything. He leaned slightly toward her, a playful glint flashing in his eyes. "It's still early in the morning, and you're already groaning on my bed. Are you trying to invite me to eat?" His voice was low, suggestive, deliberately pulling the air tighter between them. She gripped the sheet even harder, heat rising to her face, a mix of shame and anger twisting inside her. Her frustration finally boiled over, her face flushed bright red, violet eyes blazing as she glared up at him. "Obviously, you pushed me too far last night, and now I'm left like this because of you," she shouted, her voice cracking with emotion. "I don't have anything like that. I don't." The words spilled out like an explosion, raw, desperate, and humiliated. In a sudden burst of panic and embarrassment, she pulled the blanket up to her face and shouted, "Back off!" Her entire body trembled from the intensity of her feelings. He, on the other hand, sat back with an amused expression, almost entertained by her flustered reaction. But to her, every second he stayed there felt suffocating. In the next moment, her legs tangled in the sheets, and with a loud thud, she tumbled out of the bed. Fall! Her bare feet hit the floor awkwardly as she scrambled to her feet. It wasn't graceful at all, but right now, all she wanted was distance from him. He watched her stumble away, resting his chin on his hand, and let out a lazy laugh. "This hot girl," he teased, his voice dripping with mockery. "Do you want this handsome man's help?" His tone was shameless, as if her panic was nothing more than entertainment. "No need," she yelled back, her voice fierce despite the burning on her cheeks. The next second, the sound of hurried footsteps filled the room. "Run!" She grabbed whatever fabric she could cover herself with and rushed toward the door, desperate to escape his teasing presence and her own embarrassment. The room grew quiet again. He stood in front of the mirror, still wearing the same smug smile. His reflection stared back at him, composed, elegant, confident. But beneath that polished exterior, there was something unreadable in his eyes. For a fleeting second, he wasn't the predator in control, just a man looking at himself. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind him. She had thrown on a white bathrobe, her pink hair spilling down like soft silk. She leaned over the sink, startled to find him there. Her eyes widened, exclamation marks practically floating above her head. She hadn't expected to run into him so soon. The air between them grew tight again, awkward, heated, and too close. Her hands trembled slightly as she lifted her chin, trying to muster all the courage she could find. "I will be fine," she declared, with a bright yet fragile smile. Her violet eyes were like glass, clear, determined, but betraying a hint of nervousness. Standing between him and the reflection in the mirror, she felt a strange rush of strength she didn't know she had. For a brief second, their hands brushed against each other, hidden behind the thin white fabric of her robe. She didn't know if it was intentional, but the warmth of his skin spread up her arm, tightening something in her chest. The distance between them was too small. She could almost feel the tension vibrating in the air. He leaned closer, a slow, almost predatory smile curving across his lips. "No need to rush," he whispered, his voice dangerously soft. His breath brushed against her skin, sending a shiver down her spine. Her heart hammered wildly as she realized just how close he was. His confidence was overwhelming, swallowing up all the space around her. She gasped as his sudden movement startled her. The world around her seemed to blur, her senses heightened by the heat radiating between them. His nearness was suffocating, intoxicating, and confusing all at once. She wanted to step back, but her feet wouldn't move. "Shameless!" she finally shouted, her voice trembling between anger and panic. Her cheeks flushed a deep crimson, her body stiff. She couldn't tell if she was more furious at him or at herself for reacting so strongly. The room felt both too small and too loud as her words echoed sharply. He chuckled lowly, tilting his head with that same infuriatingly calm expression. "Shh," he murmured, placing a finger lightly against her lips to silence her. His eyes glimmered with mischief as he added, "Don't shout so loudly. I'll quickly satisfy your hobbies." His teasing tone made her heart skip a beat, not out of pleasure, but out of pure burning embarrassment. She stood frozen, caught between wanting to slap him and wanting to disappear entirely. Her lips parted, and a whisper escaped, "You do not—" Her breath hitched as she met his gaze head-on. His eyes held hers effortlessly, steady and intense. And in that moment, the space between them seemed to shrink even further, pulling her into something she wasn't ready to face. A soft pink object flies swiftly through the air, cutting across the pale sky with a faint sound. Someone's startled voice breaks the silence. The moment feels sudden, as if something unexpected is about to happen. In a peaceful park bathed in sunlight, a girl with pink hair and calm purple eyes turns her head toward a familiar sound. A cheerful voice calls out from a distance, "Kaka!" Waving energetically, a bright-eyed girl with a ponytail rushes toward her, a shopping bag swinging by her side. The pink-haired girl blinks in confusion, a small question mark floating above her head. As the two meet, the lively girl speaks with excitement lighting up her face. "Kaka, today Nangang Li was invited to Dongling to attend a party for the upper class. Let's follow him." Her voice carries a spark of adventure, filled with mischief and curiosity. Kaka looks doubtful, her brows knitting slightly. "Where did you get this news from? Is it correct?" she asks, skeptical yet intrigued. The sunlight filters through the leaves, highlighting the contrast between her calm demeanor and her friend's bubbling enthusiasm. With a confident grin, the ponytailed girl waves her hand dismissively. "Trust me, I heard Nangang Li's family is very rich. He films just because of interest. Haven't you heard? The Nan family is one of the top families in Xiling." Her voice carries pride and gossiping excitement, clearly fascinated by the glamorous world she's describing. Kaka sighs softly, worry flickering across her gentle eyes. "I'm just worried he won't cooperate with me. Moreover, how could ordinary people like us attend an upper-class party?" she murmurs, thoughtfully, her hand resting near her chin. But her friend's eyes sparkle with determination as she interrupts. "Don't worry. Invitations, cards, outfits, we've got it all. Let's go change our clothes." Her enthusiasm seems unstoppable, dragging Kaka into the whirlwind of her daring plan. The two girls glance at each other, both hesitating yet secretly thrilled. The pink-haired girl's thoughtful expression softens into curiosity, while her friend's eyes gleam with excitement. Something tells them that today's adventure will lead to much more than they expect.